Hello and welcome to this Wednesday morning edition of Profit Fundamentals. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll go beyond the immediate market metrics and talk about the fundamentals, reasons on the back of which the markets are moving, and corporate news flows aplenty. Will flag off all of that for you. So what are we talking about on today's Profit Fundamentals? Well, the markets today, they're trading lackluster, and markets have opened flat. They've slipped into the red from there on. So we keep a check of what's happening on the equity markets. Then global oil prices, they are in focus as crude prices jump due to geopolitical risks. That is in focus today as well. And the rupee weakness, it's back to its weaker ways. 53 to the dollar has been reached once again, dragged by dollar demand from oil importers. We'll try and analyze the rupee range and trajectory. But then corporate news flow aplenty today. In a bid to improve the sales of its Aria model, Tata Motors has it's taking a slew of steps, right from reducing the prices to improving its customer interface. Ruchita will be coming in a little while to give you the details on that story. NTPC will soon begin construction of two solar photovoltaic projects, and Wipro apparently has emerged as the best bidder for the project. More details will be coming in soon from Nikhil and Amdar. And after a wait of 43 years and an intense 11-hour debate that lasted almost into the midnight, the Lok Pal bill has been passed by the Lok Sabha, but Anna continues his fast. The latest on that coming right up. And to plug a shortfall in receipts in the current financial year, it's now almost certain that the government is going to go in for additional market borrowings. But how much additional borrowing is being factored in? What's going to be the impact of that? We discuss those aspects with Dr. Shubhada Rao, Chief Economist with Yes Bank, in just a short while. A quick check of the markets before we head into any of the fundamentals of this economy and the news movers. The Sensex and the Nifty, both of markets have opened up on a flattish note today, and therein they have slipped into the negative territory. Right now, the Nifty is down 35 points, trading at 4,715 odd levels. Extremely choppy trade, and that's also witnessed from the intraday chart that's on your screen. So you have the Sensex right now trading down about 0.7%. That's off 100 points, and it's trading at 15,778. When you look at the broader markets, it will also give you a better flavor of what's happening in the markets today. Across the board, there is a bit of sell-off that's being witnessed. So you have the CNX Mid-Cap Index, which is off sharply again, 0.7% cut there. Nifty Mid-Cap 50 is also off. The breadth of the market is weak right since the start. Banks are taking a bit of a knock today, with the banking index right now off 1.5%. Similar sort of cut also on the realty space, 1.5% off on the CNX Realty Index. IT, that's the one pack which is for a third straight day looking a bit strong, and you have the CNX IT Index right now trading in the positive territory. So that's what is happening in the markets as we speak. But with almost 80% of the Indian markets being down in 2011, we widen our search thereby to the entire world. Pankaj Poddar sifts through almost 70,000 stocks across the world to get us the best and the worst equity performers from around the world. Pankaj, lots of research you've done. What's the verdict?
Let's look at the list. These are the world's best performing counters in terms of stocks. The likes of MasterCard up about 68%. Biogen IDEC up about 65%, Grupo Electrico from Mexico up about 167%, and overall another two names from the US market up anywhere between about 77 to 90%. A lot of the stocks really came in from the US pack, especially from the consumer lifestyle name and from the pharma name. But also one interesting fact that I could actually get out trying to filter that data was that most of the lifestyle stock across the board have really done very, very well. Galaxy Entertainment, one of the they own casinos in Hong Kong, up about 68%. Hansen Natural, they own juice and different beverages is what they essentially sell in US, up about 81%. Dish Networks up about 60%. Domino's Pizza up about 112% or so. Even the likes of McDonald's, Starbucks have hit life high in the month of December.
Interesting research there, Pankaj. Thanks very much. So that's what is happening with the gainers and losers across the world on the equity markets. But a quick check of the currency fundamentals. The rupee is back to its weaker ways today. It's below 53 to the dollar mark. Once again, dragged down basically by dollar demand from oil importers. So essentially, dollar purchases by OMCs weighing on domestic currency. But then traders are also saying that bunched inflows are expected after the US markets reopen following a 3-day weekend. And of course, that could help the currency recover later in the day. Volumes in the domestic domestic currency market, though, expected to remain weak because traders are perhaps avoiding taking big positions ahead of the year end. Then on the oil front, oil prices are trading at the highest level seen in the last 6 weeks as Iran threatens to block crude transportation through the Strait of Hormuz, increasing concern that global supplies will get curbed amidst shrinking U.S. stockpiles. Iran's vice president apparently has said that Iran is going to bar shipments through the strait if sanctions are imposed on its oil exports. Now, about 15.5 million barrels of oil per day passes through this particular straits between Iran and Oman at the mouth of the Persian Gulf. So right now you have oil prices, and a quick check of that. Oil for February delivery is hovering around $101 a barrel, and as far as Brent goes, that's at $109 a barrel. So that's what's happening in the commodity markets just as we speak. Now, the government's borrowing woes here back in India, they're significant. The government has been trying to give the message that markets should not unnecessarily panic on fiscal deficit numbers, even though the finance minister had earlier already indicated in the parliament that meeting the fiscal deficit target is going to be very challenging this year. It's now almost certain that the government is going to go in for extra market borrowing to address that deficit gap. But then a bit of more perspective on that possibility and the implications therein coming in with Dr. Shubhada Rao, Chief Economist with Yes Bank, who's taking time out to come to our studios in Mumbai and speak to us. Dr. Rao, thanks very much for taking time out and welcome to the show. How much of additional borrowing is being factored in?
I think over about 1 lakh crore is what we are looking at. Already the government has exceeded its borrowing target by roughly about 63 to 64,000 crores, with 52,000 crores supplementary grant announced a few months earlier, and the recently announced unscheduled borrowing, net borrowing would be around 11,000. So together 63 to 64,000 has already exceeded the borrowing target. Needs to be seen what happens in the ensuing months. The indications are there are going to be slippages both on tax revenue front as well as the biggest disappointment of the year, the disinvestment target. And I think if one puts together, there are going to be considerable slippages.
Dr. Rao, you just spoke about, the SUTI route and that pledging of assets of SUTI that is expected to fetch the government somewhere enough money, perhaps to meet its disinvestment target of 40,000 crore rupees. But how do you view the government filling its fiscal gap through measures like leveraging the SUTI then?
It's a difficult call to make, Bianca. Honestly, one has limited idea of what actually will pan out in the coming weeks, because we did see, announcement of disinvestment through SUTI route and so on, but somewhere in the ensuing days it did fall apart. So I'm not too sure whether one can for sure take this as given. We await government signals and the Ministry of Finance signals as to how they plan to, take forth the disinvestment target. Is it through cross-selling? Is it through pledging of shares or assets through SUTI? I think there's not much of clarity available at this point in time for us to make a definitive assumption as far as the disinvestment is concerned.
Dr. Rao, good to have that perspective. Thank you so very much for taking time out this Wednesday morning and giving us your perspective. We'll touch base with you once again, perhaps later in the week or next week. Let's now take a short break here on Profit Fundamentals, but there's lots more news lined up on the other side, particularly a look at all the corporate news flow and stories that are flowing in, a look at what Tata Motors seems to be doing with its ARIA model to push sales. We're also looking at some story on NTPC, where it's looking at setting up 2 solar photovoltaic projects in the coming 6 months. And then, of course, the Lok Pal bill, it has been passed by the Lok Sabha. Now what? That's coming up after this short break. Thanks for staying on here on NDTV Profit with Profit Fundamentals. As we were in the break, we hope that many of our viewers, those who haven't participated in a Search for India Stock Market Hero, you have gone ahead and sent in that SMS to 56388. We keep talking about this particular contest because it's a contest geared towards helping you make a cool ₹1.5 lakh every 2 hours by simply sending in 2 SMSs. The stocks are on your screen. Take them down and send in the correct answer to us, the stock that you think will gain the maximum in percentage terms in this time frame. And that's first part of the contest. Second part is a question related to programming on air that should come up shortly on your screen. Well, NTPC, which is the country's largest power generation company, it's soon going to begin construction of 2 solar photovoltaic projects, and it has lined up 150 megawatt of tenders for solar and wind projects in the first half of the next year. Nikhil Inamdar is joining in with all the details on that front. Nikhil, we understand that Wipro has emerged as the best bidder for the Dadri project?
Absolutely, Bianca. In fact, as you know, NTPC has that publicly announced target of reaching 301 megawatt of solar by 2014, and looks like as we usher in the new year, the company seems to want to start off with its solar plan. So what we've picked up essentially is that for its Port Blair project in the Andaman Islands, it has in fact selected a company called Photon Solar, which has emerged as the top bidder for that 5 megawatt project, essentially to supply the equipment. And for its Dadri project, which is essentially near its Dadri plant in Uttar Pradesh, Wipro, like you said, has emerged as the preferred bidder for the 5 megawatt equipment, for which it will essentially be investing around 110 crore rupees. Both of these projects together will cost NTPC 110 crore rupees and essentially will kickstart its sort of solar venture in the new year to come.
Thanks very much, Nikhil, for the details on NTPC's 2 projects there. Moving on to another news flow, and this one's an exclusive that's coming in on Tata Motors. Its crossover Aria model has seen fresh competition coming in from Mahindra's XUV 500. Now, that's been priced much lower, of course, than Aria, just at 10.8 lakh rupees versus Aria, which was launched with a price tag of somewhere around 13 lakh rupees. But now Tata Motors is taking a slew of steps, right from reducing the price to improving its customer interface to push Aria in customers' minds. So Tata Motors has launched a special rapid resolution team for Aria complaints, and all complaints regarding that model is going to be fast-tracked under this team. The other move is to push sales of Aria is that Tata has scaled down the price to 9.9 lakh rupees versus 12.9 lakh rupees, which was the original price of Tata Aria. This 9.9 lakh rupee model is being marketed as an anniversary price offer, and with this, Aria now is priced lower than M&M's XUV 500, which is at 10.8 lakh rupees. We'll of course keep a track and a watch of exactly how much of a sales boost these measures finally provide. After a wait of 43 years and an intense 11-hour debate that lasted almost till midnight, the Lok Pal bill has finally been passed by the Lok Sabha, and this was by a voice vote after the government agreed to 10 amendments. It also secured the passage of the whistleblowers bill in yesterday's session, but then a legislation which was designated to confer constitutional status to the anti-corruption watchdog, that fell through because the government failed to get 2/3 support for it. At least 15 Congress members and close to a dozen belonging to UPA and allies, they were not present at the time of voting, thereby contributing to the defeat of the idea first, which was proposed by Rahul Gandhi. Way back in August, he had said that this is going to be a game changer. But then the government actually needed an aye vote of 288 out of the 432 members present in the House. It could manage only 249. The Lok Pal bill is now going to be placed in the Rajya Sabha tomorrow. Okay, moving on to other news then. What is of course making headlines is the fact that the Ambani brothers, Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani, both of them are in Chorbar to inaugurate Dhirubhai Ambani's memorial on the occasion of his 80th birth anniversary. This is perhaps the first time that we're seeing both the brothers coming out publicly together for any family function. My colleague Vijay Iyer is in Chorbar to track any possible developments, and he's just sending in a quick mood check of what's happening there.
The curiosity for this particular event is high purely because Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani once again have come under a single roof. There are a lot of speculation happening on whether this would lead to any sort of collaboration or any sort of agreements between both the brothers and both the groups, with the non-compete agreement getting scrapped last year in the month of May. But all those senior Reliance Industries officials are playing this down, saying that it is a very privately held, closed door, a family affair. There's nothing more that should be read. But as always, the markets is abuzz with speculations and buzz that maybe there is some announcement between both the brothers on any of the collaborations. Maybe if there could be an announcement on a sharing pact between Reliance Industry for using the tower infrastructure of Reliance Communication for their 4G rollout. But Reliance Industries officials are playing this down, saying this is a very closely held family function. There's nothing more that should be read.
And just as we speak, the ADAG stocks and the MDAG stocks are slowing, actually slightly lower at this point in time. But that's a wrap on this edition of Profit Fundamentals. Thanks very much for watching. Coming up next is BioSense.